هل لك سر عند الله بينك أنت وبين الله؟ هل لك صدقات تخفى لا يعلمها إلا الله؟ هل لك سر عند الله بينك أنت وبين الله؟ هل لك صدقات تخفى لا يعلمها إلا الله.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to another episode of Know Your Charity. Today we shine our spotlight on a charity that quite honestly does not need much introduction because they are synonymous with, alhamdulillah, all that is good. Established more than 35 years ago, Africa Muslims Agency has made its mark in the humanitarian field, but more importantly, has made its mark on the hearts of our communities, and particularly those in need. With me in studio today is the Western Cape Regional Director of Africa Muslims Agency. Assalamu alaikum, Hafiz Hussein Chinara, and welcome.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Shukran for having us.
Thank you, Hafiz Sab. Hussein, this is a particularly special time for Muslims across the world. Billions or maybe 2.3 billion Muslims in the month of Ramadan engaged in fast. And so as much as it is an opportunity for us to gain spiritual closeness and heightened spirituality, etc., we also know that it's also a time of heightened suffering, heightened despair for too many people all over the globe. And so I ask you just to highlight, just broadly, what is the role of Africa Muslims Agency, particularly here in Ramadan? In a nutshell, what is AMA's Ramadan campaign?
Alhamdulillah, Africa Muslims Agency, I think alhamdulillah has been around for 35 years now, working across South Africa, supporting 250 organizations in South Africa, working across the continent of Africa, constructing water wells, boreholes, masajid, of course in countries now also like Afghanistan, Lebanon, Yemen, Palestine and so on. The focus for this Ramadan is the Wish campaign, to fulfill the simple wishes of those in need in 15 countries around the world. Like I said, starting right here in South Africa, as well as empowering more than 700 villages across the continent with water wells and boreholes. We look at this blessed month of Ramadan. Uncle Ashraf, you talked about heightened spirituality, heightened need as well. Sometimes I always have to remind myself first that it must never become a formality, especially in this month of Ramadan, where we know, okay, we're fasting, it's a formality, it's a ritual. It must always be an intention, a deliberate intention of what we are doing, as well as helping someone. We know the importance of doing it in this month, but it mustn't be, okay, I'm giving a hamper to this person, they're receiving, I've done my job, moving on, and I've been part of that process. That person is going through an emotion. That person is thinking something. The person, Allah put them in that situation, yes, testing them, but Allah is testing us more.
Sure.
And to give us the opportunity to serve another human being, to serve His creation, I always have to remind myself that in itself is such a great ni'mah.
Yes.
To serve another human being in whatever way or form.
Yes.
And this month, where so much of it is done, alhamdulillah, only through Allah's mercy and the generosity of donors, that is possible. But let us always remind ourselves the niyyah and the importance of serving that human being,
Sure.
especially in this month.
Beautiful said, because that in fact is an act of worship as well.
Yes.
Hussein, if I can just come back, and I'm fascinated to listen to this Wish campaign. Alhamdulillah, you and I have been, to the villages, and we've traveled a bit in terms of the Lebanese, to Lebanon, to the Syrian refugee camps, Malawi, Mozambique. And so we've been able to hear of those wishes, but for the benefit of our audience, can you share with us what exactly is the Wish campaign? What is it about? And then maybe some of the wishes of the recipients.
Wish, firstly, let's look at ourselves. What is our wishes this Ramadan? Wish to be more spiritually inclined, to be better, I wish to be better human beings. I wish to be to gain Allah's mercy. I wish for Allah to answer our dua, our wish, our niyyah, our drive, our dream, whatever you call it, whatever your deal is with Allah, that's your wish. Allah gives us the opportunity, not only in this month, but of course more so in this month.
Yes.
The reward is more so in this month, to fulfill the wishes of those that I need. Now, what are those wishes of those that I need? I mean, we can share many stories. Uncle Ashraf, you and I slept in villages. We were in refugee camps. We were in communities across South Africa. Whether it was that boy, we were building a water well in the Sabao community in the Zambezia province in Malawi. That day, I jumped in the water
Yes,
well
I
that day.
remember it. I remember it well.
And we met this mother and her son. And I remember asking this boy, what do you have to eat? And we got to find out that they eat literally grass, to eat. And I asked him, what do you wish for? His name was Munib. What do you wish for to have in Ramadan? Like, what do you wish for to break your fast? And here I'm expecting him to talk about the most amazing things.
Yes.
Like when we ask our kids, we know the answers are coming.
Of course.
Yeah. But his answer was, if I could just taste what a biscuit is.
Subhanallah.
And
Yes,
you can share many more.
Yeah.
For example, in the refugee camps.
Yes.
I mean, I met a 2-year-old girl, Isra, in Asal, on the border between Syria and
Yes.
Lebanon, and her wish, her dream, a 2-year-old craves and wants. Her dream is to have an apple.
Yes.
And we're seeing with our teams in the camps on a daily basis over the past few weeks, people are eating leftover radish, and they're crying and pleading for something. Some of them are saying, we don't want Ramadan to come.
Sure.
That is the direness of the
Yes,
situation.
sure.
And if I can touch on one more aspect, one more country that we're working in, Afghanistan, where people stand in those bakery lines that we
Yes.
run, but they stand in those bakery lines to smell the bread
Subhanallah.
to break the fast.
Sure.
Those are simple things that can be done easily.
Yes.
Allah's bringing to our attention more for us to fulfill our wishes. In so doing, fulfilling their wishes.
Absolutely. So, alhamdulillah, so this is the wish, and as you beautifully said, the wish in the sense of the recipient, as it was heartbreaking for a child to say, all I wish for is to have an apple. There was another person, as you know, we can sit here the whole day and speak about, her name is Zaina, who says, if I had $1 million, I would buy only peanuts, because this is what I want to have. Things that we take so for granted and basic. But the other part was important as well of this wish campaign, because quite honestly, by means of this campaign, Hussein, AMA is presenting all our viewers and all of us all over the world an opportunity to fulfill a wish, but also fulfill our wish as the donor. Because alhamdulillah, we spoke about increased spirituality, which comes with increased charity. And I love the point that you make, that maybe this time around, let's not just give it, let's think about it. So that let's give almost mindful charity, as it were. Be conscious of you parting of this wealth that Allah has entrusted you with in the first place. Think about this impact on the recipient, and then try to have this connection that is ongoing. So inshallah, this fulfillment of a wish. Now, how can our people get in? Because I've heard long, the grapevine, little birdie whispered in my ear that inshallah this coming Friday, is it the 31st of April?
31st of March.
This coming Friday, 31st of March, Africa Muslims Agency is hosting a pledge line here on Hilaal TV. Give us details, please, my brother.
9:30 p.m. Sheikh Riyad Walls, yourself, Uncle Ashraf as well. We have Zakira Ashtikar from Cape Town going to be on, Nadia Jacobs as well, amongst other guests who will be on the pledge line. But again, as special as those guests are, as special as the night is, in the month of Ramadan, we know the need is there. The question mark is you, the viewer, because these are just tools for you, encouraging you to be part of the wish movement in 15 countries to make a difference, inshallah.
Absolutely.
This Friday,
Hilaal TV. 31st of March, 9:30 on Hilaal. I'm going to go to a break soon, but I just want to imprint upon this, as Hafiz Hussein tells us. So we've got a wonderful lineup, but those people are important, but not the biggest important part of this is what you're going to do. Because once you are informed, once you know about the wish of someone else who is underprivileged, who perhaps is oppressed in very many ways, then I'm asking you, what's your response going to be? Shall we sit back and say, well, great, we'll just watch for entertainment? Or shall we say, I wish to make a contribution in terms of water, food parcels, whatever the case may be? We'll speak about that after the break. So don't go away, come back so that we can teach you about the charity we have under our spotlight today, Africa Muslims Agency and their Ramadan Wish campaign and their pledge line coming up this Friday, 31st of March, 9:30 on this channel. We'll see you then.
هل لك سر عند الله بينك أنت وبين الله؟ هل لك صدقات تخفى لا يعلمها إلا الله؟ هل لك سر عند الله بينك أنت وبين الله؟ هل لك صدقات تخفى لا يعلمها إلا الله؟ هل لك سر عند الله بينك أنت وبين الله؟ هل لك صدقات تخفى لا يعلمها إلا الله؟ هل لك سر عند الله بينك أنت وبين الله؟ هل لك صدقات تخفى لا يعلمها إلا الله؟
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to Know Your Charity TV. Today I'm speaking to Hafiz Hussein Shunara from Africa Muslims Agency. And just before the break, he shared with us the exciting news that AMA is hosting a pledge line this Friday, 31st of March, 9:30 p.m. on Hilaal TV, to present to each and every one of us an opportunity to share in maximum reward by positively impacting on the lives of others. My brothers and sisters, there are few greater joys to know that you have consciously and with sincerity donated and improved the life of a brother, a sister, a family, a mother, a father, grandparents, or children who in need. Before we went to break, he spoke about the wish campaign to fulfill the wishes of others. And so I'm going to ask him, Hafizab, can you tell us, please, and direct our attention, our energies towards the pledge line this Friday, 9:30, 31st of March. What exactly is going to be taking place?
And we'll touch on a few countries, but how we can do this is we can sponsor and feed a village or feed a community where a couple of hundred people are being fed in Ramadan per day for 16,000 Rand per day. Imagine the hundreds of people. We know the reward for feeding a fasting person, where you get their reward of fasting without their reward being diminished. Imagine feeding hundreds of people per day, 16,000 Rand or any amount towards it. Or you can sponsor a water well. Uncle Ashraf, you and I were in Malawi, Mozambique. Right now, these two countries have been hit by Cyclone Freddy, a severe cyclone that has created mass destruction, hundreds displaced. People are seeking refuge at the masajid that we've built in Malawi. But right now, it's Ramadan. We know that in those countries, they actually call it the hunger season. Because now is the time for harvesting. But because the crops have been washed, people don't have food. People don't have clean water. So right now, there's a massive need for water wells and for feeding, especially in countries like Malawi.
You know, can I interrupt you? Because as you know, we chatted off air as well. It's easy to believe that, you know, there's all this rain and all this water. So what do we need water wells for? But we need to understand that the cyclone and the strength of the cyclone has in fact caused havoc. We know over 200 people have lost their lives, in fact. So this notion of the cyclone Freddy has washed away the crops, so that there is no harvest this year. When there's no harvest, there is no food. And thus we need to, one, provide food, particularly in Ramadan, iftar, suhoor, etc., as we have the luxury of having. And secondly, there's need for water, because that water is now been washed away. It's contaminated. It's filled with mud, not fit for human consumption. Now is the need, in fact, to construct water wells. Is that correct to say?
Absolutely, absolutely. The water wells makes a massive difference. Well, yes, of course, the tangible difference is people have access to clean, drinkable water. But again, if you look beyond the contents of the food parcel, or you look beyond the water well, it's the dignity that you give to a human being. You give to that father who now looks at his kids and able to provide something for this month, to remove that grief from the mother who worries about how she's going to feed her family, or for that young girl in Africa who walks kilometers to collect contaminated water now has access to clean drinkable water. She can go to school. What about those intangibles that are there that surely Allah rewards us for, besides the actual food parcel, besides the actual water well or the blanket?
Absolutely. And I think this is a very, very important point, because you brought it up earlier as well. With regards to the notion, we think we can just give the money. And this is what we want to speak about perhaps, and remind ourselves first and everyone else, this concept of mindful giving. Because you and I have seen, when we've constructed a borehole, for example, and the water comes gushing out, the impact, simply just of the joy of the entire village. Because my brothers and sisters, I don't think we fully understand the impact of a borehole or a water well in a village. Just close your eyes for 30 seconds as you're watching the screen and think and count in your head the amount of taps that you have in your home. Whether it's in the bathroom, in the bedroom, as an ensuite, in the kitchen, etc., etc. And we know we go to the taps, Allah has blessed us to just lift the lever or turn it open and water will come out. For whatever reason, there's no water, there's a broken pipe, or the council's done something, everybody is irate. Now imagine that was a norm in your life. And then suddenly, by the mercy of Allah and the generosity of donors, persons come along and construct a borehole. We're saying that joy on the smiles and in the smiles and the faces of these people, quite honestly, Allah, we will never forget. And that's the intangible you speak about. So it's not just clean drinking water. Alhamdulillah, that's the easy part. It's how the entire life of the whole village is changed. So what is the cost that you said of the water of a water well or a borehole, Hussein?
The water well is 14,800 rand for the water well. We not only build the water well, we also maintain the water well, give feedback to the donor, advising them. The whole idea, Uncle Ashraf, is to bring the donor's wish, the donor's niyyah, close to him, so he gets to see, feel, communicate with his donation, with his charity. So he's always connected to that long after he's just given it. And the borehole in Africa is 55,000 rand, or in Afghanistan for 49,500 rand, or any amount towards it.
African Muslims Agency is giving us an opportunity to focus primarily on providing the provision of water wells and boreholes in Africa and in Afghanistan, and then crucially feeding a village. Our brothers and sisters on our doorstep. We know people from Mozambique. We have people in Malawi who are making the adhan in our mosques, who are leading us in prayers, assisting us in businesses. Their families at home require our help. Friday night, 9:30. Hafiz Hussein, if I can ask you with regards to the boreholes and construction thereof, when a donor is to say, I'm interested, but I don't have the entire amount, 14,800, how does that process work?
The water well, 14,800. And firstly, our teams identify the villages that we need. And of course, alhamdulillah, with the mercy of Allah and the donor's niyyah, we then build those water wells.
Sorry, Hussein, because I'm going to interrupt you, just to point out that we find always the remotest and communities in the greatest of need, so that they are far away from the city areas and so on and so on. Isn't that, that's the reality?
I've been checking Uncle Ashraf, getting off that motorbike and walking into that village.
To the jungles,
Absolutely. So yes, people can pay off the water well, they can do a debit order. We even do crowdfunding links. Many families come together and say, look, we want as a family to do a collection for those that are passed on, or for the sadaqah of our family. We do crowdfunding links as well. So anybody would like to do that, we can do that as well.
So the point that I'm trying to make, Hussein, and for those people who don't have the entire amount, there are a lot of people in that position, and I want for people to understand, if we don't have the entire amount, there are other people who also sit and think we don't have the entire amounts. But when we collect all those not entire amounts together, we are able to build quite a few.
We should always be, and again, remind myself first, we should always be guided by the divine, what do you call it, divine scriptures, if I might call it that Allah, trust in Allah to give you more.
Absolutely.
That there is no decrease in your wealth. As if you're sitting right now and watching and you think, I have this niyyah in my heart and I want to give, I want to help, I want to give charity for those that are passed on in my family, or for myself, I want to do this. If that's in your heart right now and you're watching, then there's a reason for that.
Beautiful.
Then there's a reason for that. Irrespective of the financial circumstances, that is now this is your choice. Allah's brought to your attention because He knows the niyyah in your heart. And if it's there and you want to do it, the only thing to do is trust in the divine law that says Allah will give you more. and it won't decrease in your wealth.
Beautiful. There is nothing more important for us than to have full trust in Allah and His words and His promise to us. So as Hafiz Hussein says to us, who of you will enter into a loan? And when Allah says, I will increase you tenfold, trust and believe. The Prophet ﷺ says that protect yourself and your family from hellfire, give in charity, even if it is by giving half a date. Friday night, 31st of March at 9:30 p.m. on Hilaal TV, African Muslims Agency is hosting their pledge line, and they provide all of us with an opportunity to fulfill the wishes of those in need. Dare we say no? Shukran, until we speak again. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
هل لك سر عند الله بينك أنت وبين الله؟ هل لك صدقات تخفى لا يعلمها إلا الله؟ هل لك سر عند الله بينك أنت وبين الله؟ هل لك صدقات تخفى لا يعلمها إلا الله؟